rematch this weekend against Northern Michigan, who you obviously you split with several weeks ago. Both teams have played pretty well since then. What kind of are your expectations going in against that team?
Great test for us, being back at home, and we've been on the road quite a bit the second half, and it started in their building, at the end of the first half. They're playing very well, deep, up front, getting great goaltending. Special teams have been good. This is a type of series you want to be playing at home. A lot riding on the line, so great test for us.
You and your players have mentioned a few times over the last several weeks about talking about your identity and talking about being and mentioning defense. And we've talked a lot about your depth, especially up front, for a lot of the year. But you've really been pretty stable at and I know you mean team defense, front to back, but just your defensive core, specifically your defensemen, that's been a really stable group for you all year. What do you think their success is about?
Well, I think first of all, they're battle tested. They've been around a bit. Connor Mackey's played a lot of minutes. Jack McNeely, Ian Scheid, Zamolik, Hukas, and when you start getting to that point, there's 5 deep there, and we've really seen an emergence, I think, of Andy Carroll here this year after having a really good summer. Wyatt Amat. When you can talk about guys that have played the amount of games, the amount of minutes, the situations that they have over their careers here, that's something you want to lean on, because they've got some rubber on the road. They've been around a little bit, and so we try and rely upon that with McKay, and then asking our forwards to do their part at coming back and making things as easy as we can in our own end. So the cleaner we get out of our end, the less time we spend in our own end, the better it is for us, because it means we've got the puck.
Do they get overlooked, do you think, a little bit, just in terms of when you've had that upfront depth and the kind of season Dryden's had?
Well, not by us. Not by our staff, not by their teammates. I think going into last weekend, I thought we needed a little bit of a reset back there. I thought Connor Mackey and Jack had a really good weekend. Ian Scheid obviously gets his first one, scores an overtime winner. He's been solid offensively, but I thought, again, he brought it from our end all the way to their end last weekend against Anchorage, and was rewarded with some success offensively, but I thought was really good defensively. And so we're going to go as far as our goaltending and our defensive core it takes us. And we're hoping to get a little healthier this week and, hopefully continue to get better up front.
Do you know where you're at health-wise right now?
Yeah. Jake's back. He's been cleared. He's been skating with us for a while now, and Mark's back skating. I don't know if he'll be available or not, but he's back skating with us. We've, for the most part, we've got some things that we're still trying to find out on day-to-day types of things. Julian Napravnik's full go. We've had some good couple of days here at coming back, getting our rest, getting back to work, and trying to get prepared for a very important weekend.
You don't want to get in a situation where you're playing from behind a lot, and your team hasn't been playing from behind a lot. But the game Saturday where you pull the goaltender and score twice late, the game against Bemidji State where you pulled Dryden with 6 minutes to go and you stage a late rally, it comes a little bit short. Then dating back to last year against BG, those type of games, Mike, and you always talk about team building and adding to the book. How do those type of games factor in relative to building confidence here as we enter this really late stage of the season?
Well, first, you don't want to be in that situation if you don't have to be. But we found ourselves there a little bit here recently. And credit Bemidji and credit Anchorage for putting us in that spot. But both times we had gone significant amount of time and hadn't cracked the egg on the board. We hadn't scored a goal. And so against Bemidji, we wanted to try and change some momentum, and we did. And the guys, I thought, played with some poise, and we had some execution, had some bounces, which we needed. But, Andy Carroll also gets in on a breakaway to get it back to even. And so I think the guys have seen some success from it in those situations. So I think they've been comfortable up until this point at going out and believing in each other and giving it a go. And this last weekend, we get it under a minute and find a way to get the first one, and with less than a second left to get the second one. And so the group has had some adversity recently, whether that's on the scoreboard, whether that's guys getting dinged up. I think you can learn from those. Their opportunities, and we're going to have a lot of tough games in front of us, Friday being one of them. So we've got to find a way to not put ourselves in those spots, not allow teams to put us in that spot. It could be a little bit harder offensively, whether that's power play, whether that's 5-on-5, and making it a little bit more difficult on goaltenders to not get into a groove and not have the starts that the goalies that we've been playing against recently have had. And so it's up to us to change that, but I like the way the guys have reacted when they've been in that situation.
Then tagging on what Shane had asked earlier about Northern Michigan, and I think about the season series with Bemidji State too, where we're playing these programs fairly recently with these back-to-back series, their place, our place. We're going to go to Bemidji again, and we'll have, by the time it's all said and done during the regular season, had played Bemidji State 5 times. I'm not going to say animosity between the two programs, but you get to know each other fairly well if you play, and they can't have changed their game. Our game hasn't changed all that much, given the fact that it wasn't all that long ago that we played each other. But what do you expect out of Northern Michigan this weekend, if at all? That'll be different than what we did, that we saw over in Marquette just over a month ago, I guess.
Well, I think they've banked some confidence. They've won some very important games. They're playing very well. They've got themselves back into a spot to compete. Not only trying to win a playoff championship in our league, but a regular season championship. They've got 2 games in hand on us and Bemidji, and they're right behind us, right behind Bemidji. And they've been playing very well, so I think they're going to come in here with a lot of confidence. They've got the nation's leading goal scorer in Laurent, and so Boileau is a guy that's an All-American type defenseman. Vincent DeMay's having a heck of a sophomore season. And so I think they're going to come in with a lot of confidence. They got a goaltender that's playing very well. And you combine all those things with the idea of what time of the year it is, everybody's excited about playing at this time. So I'm expecting their best game, and we're going to have to be on point.